To the harsh reality of football, even at Christmas. Gary McAllister's time at Leeds United came to an end with a trip to Milton Keynes. Dominic Johnson reports.
After their dismal run of form, 4 defeats in all competitions, this was inevitably being billed as crunch time for the Leeds United manager. And so it proved to be.
Hello, Mum. You all right, Mum?
It may have been all smiles before the game, but as nearly 5,000 Leeds supporters descended upon Milton Keynes, the need for a win wasn't lost on anyone.
We are Leeds, we are Leeds, we are Leeds.
It needs to be a good Christmas. 2 tough games. This one ain't going to be easy. They're playing well. Leicester on Boxing Day. Could be make or break for Mr McAllister, couldn't it?
On the pitch, they faced an informed Dons team who had won 7 of their last 8 league games under Roberto Di Matteo. The size of the task was huge for McAllister, who found out that when you're down, luck deserts you. Only 11 minutes were gone when Jamal Johnson's corner went in off Sean O'Hanlon's back. Skipper Rui Marquez was unable to stop the ball from reaching O'Hanlon right in front of the Leeds fans. The chairman wasn't impressed by what he was witnessing. And things got worse 6 minutes later when Leeds failed to deal with another Jamal Johnson corner. Luciano Becchio's clearance hit the bar and Aaron Wilbraham pounced to make it 2-0. It was a good poacher's finish to give Wilbraham his first goal since September. But the casual defending from the shell-shocked Leeds players must have left McAllister fearing the worst. Even the fans' pre-match optimism had evaporated. In the second half, there was a glimmer of hope when Robert Snodgrass made the most of Sean O'Hanlon's weak header to score for the second match in a row. But the celebrations turned out to be short-lived as the Dons restored their 2-goal advantage within 6 minutes. Once more, Jamal Johnson was involved in the build-up. He sent in the cross for Wilbraham to guide in his second of the afternoon. It was a body blow for a forlorn-looking McAllister, who was barely able to believe what was going on in front of his own eyes. After 5 straight defeats, his team were languishing in 9th place, 5 points outside the playoffs, while the Dons comfortably marched into 2nd spot. Next for McAllister, the decisive meeting with his chairman, while the players now have to regroup ahead of the Boxing Day game against Leicester.
And it was over there for Gary Mack. We've heard today that Simon Grayson is perhaps the #1 choice for Leeds United, but Blackpool have refused permission for Leeds to speak to him. Does that put Simon into a very difficult position, Kit?
I think it can do. If Simon wants to go to Leeds, it can put him in quite an awkward position. But I would think Leeds would come back with some sort of, I don't know if they put any sort of offer or it's just been refused point blank so far. But I would think if Leeds have pinpointed Simon Grayson as the man they want, I would think they'll probably come back and try and get him again.
And he's a former Leeds trainee, Simon, and lives over that way still. Very difficult to turn that kind of thing down if the chance of going to Leeds exists.
Very much so. I think it'll be a marvellous opportunity for him if it comes about. Equally, I think he'll have a sense of loyalty to Blackpool because they've been good for him. Equally, Simon's been fantastic for Blackpool. He's did a tremendous job. And I mean, I just think it's always sad when a manager leaves, but I mean, they'll have to move on, and I think they've targeted a very good manager. I
suppose the table spoke in the end for Leeds United, and they were 15 points away from the top, 11 points away from the top 2, and 5 points away from the top 6 in 9th position down there. So I suppose in the end, Ken Bates acted because of that.
Yeah, probably, and because of the size of the football club. But having said that, I mean, I think there's circumstances that you've got to look and examine closer. When you see the goals they lost on Saturday, every bit of luck that could go against them did go against them. And I mean, I think Gary, given time, would have turned that on its head.
And I know you know Gary. Not often you get sacked with a 50% win record, which is what Gary has.
Oh yeah, and I think he would improve on that. I really believe that if they'd have given him the time that we all talk about football. But such is football now, there's always an easier reaction. And I think he's paid a heavy price.
Do you mind me saying that he did text you and said to you, you know, he was more concerned about you doing well than his opposition? I
mean, he's a top man. I've got to say that out with football, just as a real man. And I texted him just to make sure he was okay. And it was like anything else. He comes back and he's telling me to keep it going, not even worrying about himself. But that sums him up, you know. And I'm sad for him, but I know that he'll bounce back from that very quickly.
Yeah, he's a top guy, isn't he?